Hey there, my free-to-play players who are struggling to get a chest from the primal lot, and welcome to this AFK journey video. So I've seen some comments from my past few Crystal Beetle videos which mention that the bosses are really hard for them and they are not securing any chests. So I'm suspecting these players are like the free-to-play players where their unit quality is not as high and their accounts are not as developed, so they have difficulty mastering the required units to go for meta damage, and they have difficulty even surviving through the full cycle to get the necessary rewards to further power up their account. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about two builds which I use for my $0 free-to-play account if I want to just secure rewards, if I do have torrent. So I'll use this opportunity to showcase a few builds and then talk about why this is actually a way you can secure your chest. So for those of you guys who do not know, the most meta team right now consists of Fresto, Corin, Smokey and Coco for the support, and then Rainer for the debuff. So that's the most meta team by stats for the whales, for the massive spenders. If you're more free to play by nature, then the tank can be swapped out for Fresto, can be swapped out for Torrent, and then you can use Scarlita if you don't have Rainer. So these are a few options. Other than that, you can also put in the likes of Entendra or even Lucius for the shielding so that it keeps your team healthy for a longer period of time. But at the same time, one thing to take note of for this boss specifically is that this boss itself, right, hits pretty hard. So the boss itself hits so hard that if your units are at a low tier, for example, even if I have a Fresto over here, because my Fresto is at what, 291 and only at the epic tier, so it's gonna be really frail and this unit will just melt. So even if this unit is the optimal unit, I don't recommend you guys to use understated units because they just don't survive well enough, and if you cannot survive, your units will start to melt, and then that's where you lose damage and you don't get the boxes that you want for your account, especially for free-to-play players. So for example, I have Corin as well, but my Corin is not even Mythic Plus, only currently at Mythic, so I'm also not running him. And the team I'm running right now is actually not the one on screen, it's actually this team over here. So this is my highest damage team which I'm running, which I'm gonna put here, and this is pretty much like the team which is able to do damage while surviving long enough. So I'll show one run with this team and then offer you guys another build or another way of building up your team so that you have the chance to secure the chest for yourself. So without further ado, let's start the battle. Okay, so artifact of choice, I use the Starshot spell because for this account specifically, I haven't been grinding so much. So my artifact on the other artifact itself, the level is not really high. Ability wise, Starshot spell is really good because this unit is able to deal damage, slow down the offense of the unit while providing haste for your team, so they cycle through your skills faster. Okay, at the same time, because the artifact actually deals true damage, so true damage actually bypass all the magical immunity, bypass all the dodges and stuff. So I'm gonna go slower to let you guys see the power of true damage or this Starshot spell. So let me go on. Okay, so right here we are at 2 charge, okay, 3 charge. So as you guys can see, the HP just dropped because that drop came from that burst of damage from Starshot spell. So unfortunately, I think my position is not really optimal. Like my 3 units in the middle are getting stunned a lot, but I don't think it matters too much in terms of the grand scheme of things because as you guys can see, I'm able to survive fully and then I can secure more chests for my free-to-play account, which is, I'll say in most cases, right, won't be able to get those chests if I don't run this build because I don't survive long enough. And if I survive long enough, I'm able to rely on just the levels of my units as well as the damage from Starshot spell to do damage to the boss. So this is the idea which I want to promote to you guys in case you guys are having difficulty surviving, right? And you guys just want to secure some chests for your free-to-play account. This is one idea that you guys might want to consider. So I'm going to showcase the damage distribution. So we get a total of 105k EXP with 108 essence. And then if you go into the damage distribution, obviously Torrent is going to be like the meta unit, right? This unit is very meta for this boss because of the counter attack. You cannot actually dodge that, and obviously because of the life drain as well as all the different debuff that this unit can provide. But in most cases, most people should have the likes of OD in the team, and this unit doesn't do that much damage because any units that rely on the normal attack is not going to hit the boss hard enough, and that's why a lot of people are complaining that this boss is really hard because if they don't have Torrent, if they don't have Corin, or they don't have a unit that can specifically do damage to Crystal Beetle, they cannot get the damage in and they cannot secure the ranking. So right here, I'm going to provide another way of thinking. So right here, we are doing about 3,300 million damage. So that is with Torrent. So obviously, if you don't have Torrent, your damage output will be reduced. But the other way you want to play your account out is to just survive through the full cycle of the boss. So one way to do that is to just use the likes of multiple healers and support in your team if you're somebody like me with all the supports invested. So what this does for your team, it offers quite a bit of stats and sustain for your team, and basically whenever your unit use their skill, right, when you are further accelerated by Rowan, you're able to spam the Starshot spell damage to hit the boss harder. So that's where you will be able to do damage even though you don't have the meta units. So right here, I'm gonna scale out the levels for Healwind for a little bit. So for me, because I have Healwind, I'm gonna run Healwind. If you don't have Healwind, but you have the other 4 units I'm running, just run a very tanky unit on the front line, because Rowan, Smokey, as well as Coco is enough to keep your team alive. And for OD's case, you can obviously use your strongest carry. So this team's idea is just to amp up your stats and then do as much Starshot spell damage as possible. Because for those of you guys who are not familiar or you guys have forgotten, Starshot spell deals true damage based on your team's attack. So right here, we're going to go into artifact. Okay, so I'm not going to increase the levels because I want to ensure some fairness. So Starshot spell deals damage based on your team's attack and then deals damage based on the target's current HP. So this allows you to have multiple haste, and this skill is activated after every 3 ultimates. So this is a very consistent damage source, and I'm not going to level up. So I'm gonna just put in OD just now, or maybe, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll keep OD at the previous level. So I'm just going to change up because I kind of forgot about the level switch. Then we go back into the boss. So this is team idea number 1 where you guys can use. So right here, because I have Rowan in the team, so the idea is don't run understated units. So if the unit is not high tier, don't run them because they don't survive very well. But if you have units that are developed, even though they might not be very useful, even though they might not be very meta, as long as they can tank through, as long as you have enough power to survive through the barrages of attack, you will be able to jam in some damage to get the chest, especially if you are a low spender or a free to play which have difficulties trying to secure some rewards for yourself. So right here, let's start the battle. Okay, so same thing, I just swap out the more meta torrent for Healwind so that I can keep my heals going. So I think I could probably do a little bit better in terms of positioning, but I don't think it matters because Healwind will be unaffected when she's stuck in the middle. So one thing about you running Rowan is that Rowan can hyper accelerate the skill usage for your team, which sort of gives you more Starshot spell proc, as you guys can see. So this ultimate from Rowan is able to just allow your whole team to spam ultimate and they don't die, and then they're able to just survive throughout for the full 90 seconds and then do damage to the boss. So right here, we are securing our very first chest. With this team, I am looking at least 2 to 3 chests if possible. We are currently at 46 seconds, so second chest should be obtainable. Not sure whether or not we can get the third chest. If you guys don't have Smokey, you guys can definitely use any other units with your very high tiers, because as the units have higher tiers, they have more stats, they have more attacks, which will allow your team to do more damage through the Starshot spell component. So that's the goal of this team idea. So let's say if you don't have Rowan, you don't have any ways to hyper accelerate your Starshot spell usage, what do you do? So right here, we are relying on stats plus Rowan to do damage. So I think we are securing 2 chests. Not as good as the Torrent team, but I think sufficient enough for me to secure some rewards. Okay, later on we'll look at the damage distribution. Okay, 2 chests somewhere in the middle, pretty nice. Okay, so we go into the damage distribution over here, 1,688 million. So we lost a huge chunk of our ultimate damage from Torrent, but at the same time, we're able to survive the full duration. And if you guys take a look at the damage, 180 million, 525,288k, 853k, right, with a little bit of heal from Smokey. My Smokey doesn't have the EX weapon. If you have the EX weapon, Smokey is able to do damage. Then Healwind also did a little bit of damage, so 1000k. So if you take a look at the damage distribution, right, a big chunk of the damage actually came from Starshot spell. So that's the idea of this build. This build is just to allow you to get some chests so that you can still benefit from the event even though you are not hitting as hard. Okay, so another way you can build up your team obviously is to just give your team more stats. So right here, just now I actually used the Entendra one, so I'm going to showcase with Entendra. Okay, so I'm going to put out all these units and put in Entendra, put in Coco. So I'm still running Rowan. If you don't have Rowan, you use Healwind. If you don't have Healwind, you use Damien, right? Basically, any units that fulfill that role and is tanky enough. So right here, I'm going to use Entendra. So Entendra will provide the shield, and this time around, I'm going to level up our dear Smokey, right? To give that, OD for that damage. because the shield numbers from Anthendra benefit Smokey with higher stats. So right here we are getting more stats. So usually we are getting 3 unit stats, but right here we are getting 4 units. So increase from plus 14% for the whole team to plus 18%. So that will give you more survival as well as more damage from Starshot spell. So if you have Rowan and as well as whatever unit I'm showcasing here, that will be the best choice. But if you don't have Rowan, any unit that can keep your team survival going is fine as well. The idea of this concept is to just drag out the fight so that you do enough damage with Starshot spell so that you get your rewards. Okay, so let's start the battle. So Anthendra is able to choose Smokey, protecting this unit, preventing damage. Then she will run up to the front line. Although she's not very tanky, right? But the thing about Anthendra is this unit has a very imba skill that massively reduces damage whenever she uses the ultimate. And she's able to shield up OD in the front line. So this will allow OD to survive a little bit better while throwing his ultimate to spam Starshot spell, because he's gonna be the aggro drawer for the Beetle itself. So as you guys can see right here, the damage distribution should roughly be the same as the previous one. Hopefully it's a 2 chest minimally, just relying on Starshot spell, which is something that you guys can use. Another idea which I had was using Quick Bit spell, but I think Quick Bit spell's damage drop is a lot slower compared to Starshot. At the same time, Starshot has haste, which allows your whole team to spam their skills, which will keep your whole team healthy throughout, and that will be a lot better than Quick Plate in most cases, right? If you are tanky enough, if you are will enough, then you probably will be relying on Quick Blade. But if you are not tanky enough, even with Quick Blade, you will still be dying pretty quickly. So right here we are on the second chest. I think the damage is a little bit lower, but we still hit the second chest, purely relying on the Starshot spell damage output. Okay, so we barely hit it. So 1.4 mil is the second chest. Pretty neat there. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, right? You guys can see the damage distribution. The idea of me sharing this concept is for you guys to know that if, right, your team cannot do damage, if you don't have the most meta units, use these units, right? Use units which can do damage and then use Starshot spell to amp up that damage for you to get more rewards. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.